All right, y'all. This episode is out of necessity because I hear this so often. And so we're going to nip this in the bud. I will reference this episode for the rest of my days. This is what you need to listen to if you are thinking your job is a bad fit, but you don't know what to do. Now, this can also pop up in relationships. So while this episode is not about relationships, if you're having that thought in whoever you're dating or maybe whoever you're married to, you can also go back and listen to this episode and just change the words. But this is mostly for the PAs, nurse practitioners, whoever, who you're in your job and you're either thinking, I made a big A mistake, or God, I don't know. I don't know if this is a good fit. It just doesn't feel like a good fit. Because I hear this so often, and people are like, what do I do? And some people panic and they're just running around like a chicken with their head cut off. And they're like, what do I do? I need another job. I need another job. Oh, crap. I messed up. I messed up. And then there are people who are like just deflated and they're like, I have no energy. I screwed up. I guess I made my bed and I'll lie in it. I'm stuck here. I can't do anything about it. Whichever boat you're in, this episode is going to help. And I actually numbered these. So we're going to go through the numbers. So the first thing I want you to do is to get really honest with yourself. Do you have a wound that you are hoping this job will heal? And it could be a wound from past jobs, it could be a wound from your childhood. So I'll give you a personal example. So I needed affirmation and accolades, and I appreciate you. You are amazing. I needed all that. And I wanted my job to give it to me. And when they didn't, I eventually got resentful. And it took many years, and it took leaving that job and going to another job and kind of seeing the pattern repeat itself. And I saw it in my marriage. I needed that affirmation. And yeah, that is my love language. But what I realized after many moons is that I needed to give that to myself. That was a wound that I needed to heal. I kept getting mad at people when they would rub up against this wound. And it's like, well, why are you leaving it uncovered and open and you're not doing anything to care for it? You're not doing wound care. Like, it's my job as a person, as a human, to look at that wound. Okay, you need words of affirmation. What's underneath that? It's like you don't believe in yourself. You don't have that self worth. You don't believe in yourself. And then you kind of peel back the layers of the onion. Okay, well, what's underneath that? Well, some of it's comparing myself to other people. Some of it is, a belief that if you're a good person, you don't, um, you don't tell people what you need. You expect them to brag on you or to give you these accolades, but you don't tell them that you need that. So that's an example of a wound that I just took me years to realize, like, hey, I'm not giving myself what I need. So ask yourself if that's the case with you. It could also be like boundaries. So maybe people keep dumping stuff on you. You have a workplace, a boss, and hospital you work with, and they keep giving you more and more and more hours, duties, shifts, patients, whatever. Okay, are you speaking up for yourself? Are you putting those boundaries in place, or are you just expecting that wound to get healed by other people? Well, they just need to know what I need. It's ridiculous for me to see this many patients. Okay, but it's your job to put those boundaries up. Okay, number two, if you're in a job and you're thinking, I think this is a bad fit, I think I need to get out of here, what are the thoughts in your head? Okay, the thought in my head would be like, I shouldn't have taken this job. Okay, next question. What are you making it mean about you? So you shouldn't have taken this job. Okay, what does that say about you? It says that I'm an idiot, that I don't know what I'm doing, that I make mistakes. Okay, so you kind of boil it down to like, what's this underlying belief that I have about myself? Um, I'm reading my notes here. I had to put them in giant font so I could see without my glasses. Um, so we've done this. It's called thought work. And there's a lady, Byron Katie is her name, and she has worksheets on her website that are free. And you can go through and you kind of boil the thought down. It can't be about somebody else. It has to be about you. So what are you making it mean about you that this is a bad fit at this job? And at first, your tendency is going to be to point fingers and to say, well, they said they'd pay me more. They said that they would train me. They said blah, blah, blah. Okay. Stop theying. Go back to you. What are you making it mean about you? And then you're going to do this thought work thing. One of my favorite questions related to thought work is, how is this thought? So we'll just go with I'm an idiot. So how is that thought showing up when it comes to dreaming about your future? So if you really do believe I'm an idiot and you think about your future, like, it's going to look pretty bleak. You're not going to be very hopeful. You're not going to believe that there are better things out there for you. What about the past? How do you look at your past through that lens of I'm an idiot? Well, you're going to constantly remind yourself of other times you were an idiot. So what can you do about it? Like, if you do have that thought that, like, I made a mistake, I'm an idiot for taking this job, I'm an idiot for believing them, what can you do about it? So it's so simple, it's stupid. But you take the opposite thought or a different thought. Remember, it doesn't have to necessarily be true. So you could take, like, I'm very smart. And part of your brain may go, you're not very smart because you took this job. But you list examples. All right, where am I very smart? You might say, well, I'm a coupon queen, so I'm very smart when it comes to coupons. Or, man, I can really, like, work a spreadsheet for the kids' summer schedule. Or, I am very smart when it comes to reading people. Or, whatever. Like, you've got some examples of how you're very smart. So you look for evidence to support the opposite thought and write it down. Write down 20 thoughts. I got coached around this the other day. And my thought was, it was something about self-worth. It was like if I have a group coaching program, what if nobody signs up? And the coach was like, okay, well, what are you making that mean? Well, maybe I'm not any good. Maybe I'm not worth it. Maybe I shouldn't be charging. Maybe, all these thoughts. And then you take the opposite thought, like, I am worth it. And then you list out reasons. And it's really uncomfortable at first. But she made me keep listing out like 20 reasons. Well, I didn't do 20, but I probably did 10 reasons. And so you do that too. I mean, this is like what you pay a therapist or a coach for. And I'm telling you these secrets. So you need to go do it. All right, number 3. Oh, I just did that one. Ugh! Find evidence to support the opposite thought. Okay, we did that one. Number 4, if you are lost, you know this. If you go camping or if you're at Six Flags and you're a kid, if you're on a group field trip, whatever, they tell you if you get lost to stop. Don't try to find the group. Don't try to find the trail. You stop. Like, that's a Boy Scout, I think, rule. I wasn't in Boy Scouts, but you stop. Okay, one time I was in Atlanta and I had no sense of direction. I have a little bit better sense of direction, but if you've ever been in Atlanta, there's something they call Spaghetti Junction, which is where you're on the interstate and then this other loop around Atlanta, 285. It's like you look up and there are, it looks like spaghetti, and it's highways and bridges, and I was completely frozen in fear, except I wasn't frozen because I kept driving. And I got on that loop. I got on 285 and I did not realize it was a loop. And I must have driven around Atlanta about 3 times. This is not smart. So if you're in a bad place, don't keep going and look for another job and then another job. And then maybe I need to do this and maybe I need to do that. Stop. You are lost. You need to stop. You need to pause. You need to reassess. Like, what are my needs? Is it about to get dark? Do I need to, like, find shelter? Do I need to build a fire? Like, assess your needs. Stop and assess your needs. I should have just pulled over, Didn't have a cell phone back then, but I should have just asked somebody, like, how do I get where I'm trying to go? Number 5, the path of not here. I love this. I got this idea from Boyd Varty, Varty, and he is has the best South African accent. His family owns a wildlife uh, preserve in South Africa called Londolozi. He has a podcast. He's been on a lot of podcasts, and he is a tracker, and he has worked with trackers since he was itty bitty, like lion trackers, not to kill lions and not to kill wildlife, but to find them so that people can see them out in nature. So he has something called the path of not here. And the way he describes it, sometimes you lose a trail. So you're tracking, you're looking at the little like footprints in the sand, or the, is it called scat, like the animal poop, and you lose the track. You're completely like, aha, it's not here anymore. So this is like you with your job. All of a sudden, it's not all of a sudden, we all know that. But in your mind, it's all of a sudden, I look around and I don't want to be here, or I don't think I should be here. So this is called the path of not here. And he says, okay, when you're on the path of not here, what you can do is go back to the last place where you saw the track. Go back to, when did you feel good? When did you feel safe? When did you feel like you were on the right career path? And if you're like, well, never, okay, go back even further. When you were deciding on PA school, did that feel like the right track? Or was it more of like, well, I should do this because I can't get into med school, or I should do this because all my friends are doing it, or I have a biology major, so I should do it. So go back to when you did feel like you were on track. Because at some point in your life, you felt like you were on track. If you really can't come up with that, go back to people who you feel like you were in alignment with. So who is it that seems to, like, your nervous system calms down around, or you feel like you kind of align with them? Or if you can't think of anybody and you can't think of any time in history when you were on track, then if you're really in the wild looking for a track, you just start looking in a little direction and see if anything clicks. Now, we just talked about getting lost, and you don't want to like loop around Atlanta like I did. What Boyd Varty is talking about is you just walk a few steps, you look over here. What that would look like in your career is maybe you reach out to somebody and say, hey, what's it like to work in radiation oncology? Or, hey, I know you used to work full time and you cut back to part time. Like, how did you do that? I had somebody reach out the other day, and she's like, financially, how do you do that? And I told her, because I want everybody to be able to do what it is they want to do. This one is somewhere down there, but because I just said that, we'll just say number 6 is a rising tide lifts all boats. So that was said about a political situation, but it's now being used to like describe when you're doing good, you're going to help other people do good. So I shared information about how I work 2 days a week, how we make it work financially with this person who reached out. I think I've told y'all that. That's another episode, and I'm happy to go into that too. But yeah, if you find yourself in a good place, if somebody helps you, you turn around and you help the person behind you. I've done this with PAs, and PAs have done this with me, and doctors have done, it doesn't matter which healthcare profession you're in. If you do get to a place where you're like, okay, I think I found a good fit, turn around, help other people, tell them what helped you figure it out. Tell them the steps that you took, because it's only going to help. It's only going to help them too. All right, number 7, if you are in a job and you're thinking, oh, this is a bad fit, I need to get out, I need to look somewhere else. Before you do that, take a look at your self-worth. Our self-worth will determine what we allow ourselves to have. It's like our ceiling. So I heard this quote, can't remember who, because I'm 46, but they said, we don't rise to what we think is possible. We rise to what we think we deserve. I'll say that again. We don't rise to what we think is possible. We rise to what we think we deserve. So, with your job, do you think you deserve a better job? Like, get really honest. Same thing with relationships. Like, I was talking to somebody and they had left a bad relationship, like a druggie, deadbeat, and then the next person they start dating, I think in her subconscious, she's like, well, I deserve better than that. But if you had asked her, do you deserve like this guy who um, has a lot of money in savings and he is a great dad and he works, but not too much, but he works and he has, all these things going for him. He's good looking, he takes care of his body. Then I think she probably would have been like, no, I mean, I don't think I deserve that good, but I do deserve like a slight step above where I was. And we do this with jobs too. Like, do you deserve to be just double whatever you're making? Do you deserve that? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But what are you allowing yourself to believe about yourself? What do you deserve? Um, do you deserve Matt Damon? I don't know. Do you? I had a hard time with this, not with Matt Damon, but with working part time. I thought I don't deserve to work part time because my kids are in school. And I'm laughing because it really, I had the hardest time with it. And I told y'all when I first cut back, the first thing I did, and this was so not smart, I volunteered because I just couldn't let myself have that time. I wanted to like give away my time for free. So that was before I knew about self worth. I also thought, I wanted to take a sabbatical like 10 years ago, but I thought I haven't worked long enough. I don't deserve a sabbatical. I've been in another job where I thought I don't deserve a raise because I haven't been here long enough. But maybe I got screwed to begin with. Like, what are you thinking that you deserve? And do you think another person deserves it? So when they've done studies and they ask people, like, they describe the person, she does this kind of work, she works this many hours, she does this much admin on the side. What do you think she deserves? And we tend to think other people deserve more than we deserve. All right, next number, I think it's 8. Okay. Oh, this is a good one. Ask yourself if maybe this job doesn't feel like a good fit because you are peeking into somebody else's life. So, are you looking around you and thinking, I think I made a mistake because it looks like she has 3 medical assistants helping her. And from what I hear, they get like $3,000 of CME. And I mean, she calls her job a unicorn job. Like maybe you're peeking into somebody else's life. Do you really want what they have? And I credit my friend Amy with this. So she has a mastermind group, and she uses the example. One of the girls in the group is a gym owner, and, the mastermind is all about growing your business. And it's not just about growing your business, but that's one of the key points. And so this girl with the gym in her home is like, no, I am content. I do not want all the headache that goes along with opening up a separate space, like opening up a gym in a shopping center or building a building or renting a space. She's like, I am good right now. And so ask yourself if you are peeking into somebody else's life and you're thinking that your job isn't that great or your career isn't that great because you're comparing yourself to them, would you take all the parts of their life? Like maybe they have like I don't know, maybe they have 3 MAs, but maybe the MAs aren't like they don't care about the work. Maybe they look like they make a ton of money, but they're also working really long hours. Or maybe they walk out the door at 3:30, but then you don't see that they're at home doing charts for 2.5 hours. Or they get home and they've got four kids running around and their life is so chaotic. So if you're going to be jealous of somebody, ask yourself, like, would I want everything that they have? All right. Number nine, ask yourself during your childhood, what were the common thoughts? What were the things that people said over and over, either about you or just in general? So I'll tell you some that I remember from childhood. So when my parents or people around me would describe somebody, they would use this expression: well, she's just too big for her britches. So what did that plant in my head? Oh, you need to play small. You don't want people to think that you're conceited, and that you're like all that. So you really need to like downplay everything. So yeah, she's too big for her britches. I didn't want to be that. My grandma, bless her heart, would call me Little Miss America, not in a nice way, not like, oh, she's looks beautiful. She's Little Miss America. No, this was like she's trying to get attention. She is like wants all eyes on her. She is being a brat. She's a Little Miss America. So what did that tell me? Again, play small. Don't let your voice don't put yourself out there, just like kind of melt into the background, girl. When I was in was it middle school? No, it was fifth grade. We had a slam book. Now, if you read Sweet Valley High, you know that what a slam book is. It is a notebook, and it was the social media of 1992 and or 19 probably 1990. I don't know, 80s. And you would write the name of a girl at the top of each page, and then anonymously, but in your handwriting, you would write what you really thought about them. And so, God, what did this do to everybody's psyche? It crushed us. Or if you had good stuff written about you, maybe it inflated you. But yeah, ask yourself, like, during your middle school years, what did you hear a lot? Like, what was your big fear? What did your parents say about people? Like, when they really wanted to put somebody down, what would they say about them? Okay, so I think, oh, last one. Last one. Recognize that all of us have this inner middle school girl or boy. We all have this part of us that we just want things to be okay. We just want to fit in. We want reassurance that we are safe in a cultural sense. And reassure this part of you, because she really does not want you to step out there and make changes. And she's probably the part of you who's convincing you that you're not worth it or that you don't deserve to make a change. So you really, I mean, there's a whole type of therapy called IFS, internal family systems, that deals with these parts. And we all have them, but we all have like this middle school girl part of us who's like terrified that she's going to make a mistake and that she's going to not be able to change her mind, or that people are going to talk about her, or that she'll be judged. So you have to do some work around this part and let her know that you are a grown up now. You are allowed to take care of your needs. You are allowed to change your mind. You are allowed to do what it is you need to do for this life that you were given, this one life. Like, you do not get do overs. It's not a dress rehearsal. So you really have to take charge of your life and just move slowly. So if you just like get all haughty with this little middle school girl, believe me, I have one. And if you're like, sister, we're changing jobs. I am not staying here. I'm not putting up with this. Like, they freak out. So you got to go slow. You got to be like, okay, I'm just gonna call this other person and just chat, just see what it's like to work in this other field. And you just take these tiny little steps, and you keep, it's like trauma therapy where you keep asking, is this okay? Do you still feel safe? Is this okay? Do you still feel safe? We had a neighbor who was terrified of dogs, and like it was so sad because he would burst into tears, like if they're walking down the street or riding bikes and they see a dog. And so you sort of do immersion therapy with like, okay, there's a dog way down there, or there's a dog on TV. Is this okay? You do the same thing with this inner part of you who's really freaked out about not fitting in or making changes, or I made a mistake. And you just sort of creep it along, little tiny steps that she's okay with. And you build confidence that you are the grown up, you know what you're doing, you are in charge of your own blankety blank life. And she'll slowly come around. She'll learn to trust you, and you'll learn to trust yourself. So if you do find that that wound is opening up again, it will like you're the grown up, you're the PA. You can handle this wound. You can heal it. You don't have to rely on other people to take care of your boo-boos that you have had since childhood. All right. So I hope that was helpful. If you're in this situation and you use any of these tips, reach out and let me know. I would love some feedback. And yeah, see y'all next week. And remember, there's always hope.